And welcome back to the Survivor Girl podcast. Hello, thriving survivors. We're glad that you're able to join us tonight. And I want to give credit to Mr. Tony Bradley for our intro song. We definitely appreciate that. Walked into the studio, said, I want something that's going to, kick somebody to the chest, but I want it to sound like, warrior surviving and all that. So thank you, Mr. Bradley, for doing that tune for us. He's also our producer, so that's pretty awesome.
It's a very nice song.
It's a very nice song. So before we get too much further into it, Becky, would you do the honor of our disclaimer?
Well, of course I will. We are not doctors, therapists, counselors, or trained medical professionals. We are not here to treat, diagnose, or prescribe any means of treatment. We're here to share what we have been through and overcome in the hopes of inspiring, uplifting, and empowering others. And I didn't mess it up this time.
You did it. You did it. I didn't mess up intro. We're on
fire.
So awesome.
It's all downhill from here.
Right. And that would be the voice of Mr. Jeremy Scott Gibbs. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and it's not going to be down here from here. It's going to be just keep getting better and better and better and better.
I think so. Yeah,
absolutely.
So glad that you could join us. And Jeremy's been on a couple different times.
Yeah.
And he's here tonight to promote your new podcast.
Is that what
and so we can finally make that announcement that we've been wanting to make.
Yeah.
That Jeremy will be joining us as a third from every once in a while to bring us
the male perspective.
The male perspective, yes.
Yeah.
So and prove to everybody that, you can be male and a survivor girl.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Okay.
He's like, wait a minute, did I sign up for this?
Wait, did I do this? Yeah. So
yes,
he's going to be reoccurring.
Bring that back up again at some point, and we can dive into that and how important it is to understand the dynamics of being masculine and feminine within everybody.
Right.
And finding that, and we can go back to origin with Adam, and then Adam was split and became male and female. And then we can dive into the dynamics of the power of the Holy Spirit within us, being the feminine attribute of God.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people look at God as far as the Christian iconic makeup of God as purely masculine, and they miss the dynamics of how, in fact, our Bibles are translated all in masculine pronouns, and they miss the dynamic of the feminine in that. And so it's very important to understand the different dynamics. So I'm honored to be the third survivor girl.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
Yes, we are.
We got a couple things that we're going to touch base before we dive in more with Jeremy tonight.
Yes.
First, we wanted to get some unspoken prayers put out there.
Yes.
We have some people that are going through some tough stuff now.
Yes.
And we would like to, if you are a prayer warrior or if you're not, and you just want to throw some good vibes out there, whatever it is that you do, we just ask that you could join us in that and continue to uplift these people and help them through this time right now.
Yes.
By putting some words out there.
Exactly.
So,
do you guys put that out there on how easy that is to just lift people up?
Well, we try to put that out there for people. We continually put out our positive messages, and when we do have prayer requests, we put it out there for other people to
yeah, no, I'm just saying one of the things that I've taught for years, because the Lord taught me this, was just that when somebody comes into your mind or somebody's brought up to you, and when I say to people, I say, well, I'll be praying for you.
Yeah.
I don't say that lightly. But I also understand that prayer is a very simple thing. You're speaking into the atmosphere, you're speaking into yourself, and you're speaking to God. And so when you pray, it's multi-directional, and you can focus it into specific directions more than others. Right. But really, when you say we have some unspoken prayers and you think of that person, whoever that person is, you say we have this person or that person. When they come to mind, you go, it's just simple things of, Lord, I lift that person up before you. I speak encouragement over them, or I speak health over them, or I come against that sickness, or whatever it is. And it's just that simple to whatever their specific thing is. Or if they don't have anything specific, you just say, Lord, I lift up that person before you.
Right.
And I speak good things over them.
We kind of had a conversation about the whole the prayer thing, because before I used to be really guilty of being like, okay, I'll pray for you,
Right.
and then I wouldn't get right to it, like, and then
Yeah.
I'd forget about it.
Right.
So now Adam and I actually practice it. We do that in the morning. We do prayers. If I'm not
Yeah.
at home, he'll call me on the road, and we'll do them on the way to on my way to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I miss my devotionals in the morning, if I'm running a little bit late, he'll call me, read them to me over the
Yeah.
phone while I'm at work.
Right.
You know, but I used to be really bad at not putting the prayers out there when I said that I would.
Well, and that's why I'm saying this
You
is
know?
because
Yeah.
a lot of people make it so, especially the church has made it so religious and lofty and so ceremonial
Mm-hmm.
that they don't realize that just, when you guys any one of you guys in this room will pop into I'll just go through the course of my day, and I just, all of a sudden somebody's in my mind, and I go, Lord, I just lift them up before you. And then I'll usually ask, hey, do I need to send them a little message? Do I need to call them? Do I need to do something? There's a ton of times with Tony where I'll just go, what are you up to? And he's like, dude, how did you know? Like, what do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? How did I know?
Right.
I needed to talk to you, man. This is perfect. I was like, yeah, I heard it.
I knew I was gonna. Speaking of him, he's actually in the chat right now
Yeah.
saying, "Sounding great, ladies, and thank you for the shout out. Much love and respect." And also says, "Hey, Bretta, love the haircut. Been waiting for the show all week." And
And poor Kenna.
What haircut are you
she's-
talking about? This nice shininess.
I was gonna say, and poor Kenna, she's a little under the weather, and she's listening at home tonight.
so we lift her
Shout
up.
out to
Yes.
Kenna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speak health and healing over you, sweetie.
Yeah. So that's what's going on in chat right now.
Mhm.
And also we got a couple other things to talk about that
We
are
do
exciting.
have. I have to say thank you to everybody who's been lifting me up in prayer, because I am doing loads better.
Awesome.
I am healing. The wound is getting smaller and smaller every week.
That's great
and
news.
Yeah, the course of antibiotics is almost done, so I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel finally.
That's awesome. And I know that you've been really, really wanting to see that, like squinting, trying to
Oh,
find
yeah, I'm
that.
like,
Where
is
is
it
it?
there yet? Is it there yet?
It's been
No,
it's
no.
been a rough little ride there, but
Yes.
you're seeing that now, and I'm
I am.
sure that feels amazing to know that
It really does.
you're on the way up and you are healing and
No.
doing amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know.
I had this conversation with Heather this morning. I'm like, man, I really miss getting up and going to McDonald's and getting breakfast for myself.
Yeah, being able to do your own
Yeah.
thing for you.
My
And
own
of
thing for me.
course-
Yeah.
Of course, I like message back this positive thing, and I'm like, she's probably daggering me right now, like wanting to throw daggers at me. Because I know, it used to be easy just to sit back in the negative part of it and be
Yeah.
like right with you. But now I'm
Right.
just like, or not you, but in
Yeah,
general,
in
anybody.
general. Yeah.
And now I'm just like, nope, I'm not letting you sit there. You're
Right.
coming with me,
Exactly.
and we're going on a positive roller coaster
Well,
ride
and
for a minute.
it's kind of funny that you said that, because on Thursday I was having a very frustrating day.
Mm-hmm.
And I had mentioned Tony and said, I'm really super frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I had misplaced an inhaler that I had just gotten 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I was beside myself with that. There's a bunch of other legal stuff that's going on that I can't really get into.
Right.
And I said, I'm frustrated about this, 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 and this. And he's like, okay, but you're alive. And I said, but I'm choosing to count my blessings.
Right.
I am thankful that I have friends who are taking care of me
Right.
without me even asking. I'm thankful for, and I just listed off more things that I was thankful for,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and more things that I was blessed with, and what I was frustrated over.
And what did you take out of that? Because I know before, and I'm guilty of it. Anytime something goes wrong, I'm like, this, and this, and this. Oh my god!
Yeah.
But then it's like when you stop and you change it around, because you have the ability to change by not reacting
Yeah.
to those situations. I'm not saying just put it aside and be like, oh,
Mhm.
whatever. I'm just gonna
Right.
deal. I'm just gonna let it sort itself out.
Right.
Like that's not that. But I mean, when you actually stop and you get a calm head about stuff, like
Yeah.
what was the difference for you?
Well, it was, like you said, it was just like, calm down. I'm just like, okay, yeah, there is a lot of stuff that's frustrating me.
Mhm.
However, there is more positive in my life than negative. And after I had listed off the things that I had listed off, Tony sends me a picture of Sean
Mhm.
and says, here's one of my blessings. And I'm like, that's one of mine too.
Right. Right.
So, and then Friday completely changed my attitude.
Yeah.
Came over to make the Chex Mix. Well, have Sean help make the Chex
Yeah.
Mix. And lo and
Blessing.
behold, lo and behold, well, here's the biggest blessing.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I moved something for the process of making the Chex Mix.
Yeah.
And this inhaler that I had misplaced
Mm-hmm.
right there,
Yep.
Right there.
right there.
Yep.
And Tony said he had tore the whole dining room apart looking for it,
Yeah. And it just appeared.
and it just appeared.
That happens so much.
Yeah.
I know that's happened to me a lot. I'm sure
Mhm.
you've had that happen too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how it's really important that you check your attitude,
Yep.
because one of my favorite sayings is your attitude is like a flat tire. If you don't change it, you aren't going anywhere.
Exactly.
And that was something that, was a really hard lesson for me. I'm not saying I don't have those days still, because
Oh, we all do.
test me.
Right.
That's what happens. And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute though. Chill out for a
Right.
second. Because when I'm in a panic and I'm trying to find what I'm looking for, I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not finding what I'm looking for.
Right.
I'm such a mess when that happens.
Exactly.
And that like seeps into the rest of your day.
And then it was just one of those things when after I found the inhaler, I'm like, thank you, God. I
Yeah.
understand what you're trying to tell me.
Yep.
I will do better.
Yeah.
Now that I know better,
Yeah.
I will do better.
Yeah.
And that's the
So-
most important lesson
Yeah.
that I think any of us can take from that is you just need to learn how to check your tude and,
Right.
be thankful. And in that moment, when you find it, be grateful.
Yes.
One of the things that I've been thinking of recently is like, okay, so my muffler, what's left of it,
Yeah.
like came undone and was dragging on the ground.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it is super loud now. Adam had to climb underneath and put it up with a hanger,
Yeah.
fix it, whatever. And now it's so loud. And I'm sitting here just like cringing every time I go by anybody, like, oh my God, but I'm not. You know what? I was sitting there going, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe this. And
Right.
it's getting me where I need to go right now.
Exactly.
So today, I had a little conversation with my car and was like, thank you so much for getting me where I need. Like, it's been a great car. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
thank you for getting me where I need to go. I don't think that we appreciate the things that we have sometimes. We're more
Yeah.
concerned about what people have, what other people have.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'll park wherever and be like, okay, hit my car if you need to.
I was gonna say,
But there's people that,
Yeah.
I generally, if you take care of something, obviously, you're not going to want that. But with my car falling apart,
yeah.
I'm just like, okay. But I'm thankful for it
Yes.
because there was a time when I got divorced and I didn't have a car for a whole year,
Uh-huh.
So I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I have pieces falling off my car. Sorry, whoever's falling behind. But
Yeah. And it's funny that you mention the whole fact that you had a nice little pep talk with your car,
yeah.
because they've actually done study with plants.
Uh-huh.
They've
Mhm.
done numerous studies. And if you treat a plant nicely and you talk to the plant,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you played a little Beethoven or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, that plant will thrive.
Mhm.
But they've taken plants and they've done horrible things, said horrible things to them,
Mm-hmm.
And they die.
and those plants die.
Wow.
So
I think it's important. I mean, not just with that study, but
it really is.
we're always so quick to get the new next gadget, the biggest
Mhm.
thing or whatever, that I think sometimes we need to stop. And the one thing that I've learned is I need to be thankful and take care of the things that I have already before I move forward. And I think that's a hard lesson because we are consumers and we live
Yeah.
in that day and age where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
need the next one after you just got it 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm learning now to be more respectful to the stuff that I do have, and not that stuff is more important to me.
Yeah.
It's just I need to be respectful of what I do have and be thankful for what I have.
You
So,
have to appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
for
used to
sure.
vacuum out my old pickup truck, and now you guys know the pickup truck I drive right now.
Yeah.
And but they would ask, they're like, "Why are you vacuuming out this old pickup truck?" And there's rust underneath the doors and everything like that. I'm like, because one day I will have something nicer, and if I don't treat this one right, I won't treat the next one right. And
Yeah.
so you condition yourself and you gear yourself towards that. You take care of Tony and I know. You take care of the $100 guitar because one day you'll have a $500 or $1,000 guitar that you're going to take care of.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
You take care of what you have until you get something better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you don't, like you're talking about the consumerism. You don't go after the better because just because it's the next new hot thing. You go
Mhm.
after the better because it's truly better.
Yeah.
And that's we talk about guitars and stuff like that, but there's There's other things. There's a big difference between playing $100. People go, well, that's just more expensive. No, no, no.
Yeah.
A $300 12-string guitar and a $1,200 12-string Guild wide body. You know that one, yeah.
Mhm.
That's a big difference. And they play. I mean, it's amazing when you play $100 guitar for a couple of years, and then you walk in and you play something that's
Oh yeah.
a
Yeah.
thousand, $2,000, and you feel like you're Eric Clapton or Van Halen or something like that all of a sudden because it's so smooth and just you're like, oh my god,
Mhm.
I'm a lot better than I thought I was.
But you appreciate that so much
Yes.
more
Absolutely.
because you played on the $100 one for so
Absolutely.
long.
Absolutely.
And that's something that is kind of new to me. And it's not that I've been consumed with material stuff. It's just I never really thought of it that way. And now that my eyes are open to it, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I will feel more deserving of what my next car or whatever else, because I know that I need to take care of what I have to be
Yeah.
able to take care of that one.
If you don't
So-
appreciate the little things in life, then you will never appreciate the big things the way that you're supposed to.
You'll
And
miss out.
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel.
and it's vital to life because you got to appreciate the little moments. Everything in this life is about the little things.
Yeah.
If you do right, if you appreciate, if you honor in the little things,
Mhm.
then you will succeed and do what's right in the big things.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
You put the cart back when you're in the parking lot because I had to walk a little ways to put the cart back.
But you're
Right.
lucky too.
But you know what? My car's never been hit with a cart
Mhm.
rolling through the parking lot.
Right.
It's like there's those little things where you
Yeah.
just take that little bit of time and you honor each situation appropriately, and you watch how that's a law of sowing. I mean, like pretty much one of the first laws of creation is sowing and reaping. You
Yeah.
put a seed in the
Mhm.
ground, and Tony, you've had gardens. It's you put a seed in the ground, and you're gonna, every once in a while you're not gonna, but for the most part, you put a seed in the ground, it's gonna
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so when you plant good things in your life, that's why the prayers are important. You're just speaking affirmations and you're speaking them in the atmosphere. And when you understand where it's going and how it's, what it's doing out there, you're conditioning your own heart first and foremost. You're conditioning your atmosphere and your circle of influence. And then you're also communicating with God.
Oh, for sure. And I
Yeah.
feel like one of those things that we kind of put out there yesterday was doing the Friendsgiving thing.
Yes. Yes.
We've been wanting to talk about that, but there's a couple things
Yeah.
in chat before we get
Mhm.
into that. Kenna says, "Thanks, guys. You guys are my blessing."
And she's ours as well.
Oh, for sure. We
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
appreciate you. Kind of,
Yes.
always are thinking of you and hoping that you're feeling better.
Mhm.
She is our intern on the show, and we appreciate her very much, as we appreciate
Yeah.
Nate in the hot seat doing the show. And
Yes.
our
In the
new
hot
addition, we have
Yes,
Dawn
We have Dawn.
Yeah.
as
She
our
is-
executive assistant, and
Yes.
we both feel the same. We're
and
super
we
excited.
Had, yes, and we had our first meeting with Dawn last night.
Yeah.
And she's really excited with the things that we are wanting to do, and she is happy to help in any way possible.
And it like warms our heart, to
Yes.
know. And one of the things that we started out with is when this whole process started, I had a little bit of a hard time because I was so used to doing a lot of things and running a lot of things, and
Yeah.
I got to thinking about it, and with addition to you into the this.
We definitely did.
But I've learned that I can let things go, and that
Yes.
you definitely step up and take care of things, and that means so much because there's less stress now because
Yeah.
I know that I
all
don't
you
have to worry.
do,
that
and
you
all
got
you have
me.
to do is say, "I can't do this,
Mm-hmm.
Becky. You're
Can
in
you take
charge
care
of
of
it.
it?"
Can
Yeah.
you take care of it?"
And that was a hard lesson for me.
And it was. But I also noticed that when you were doing your daily motivation in the morning for
Yeah.
everybody, yesterday
Yeah.
she was busy in the kitchen and she was cooking and she wasn't able to do it. And she's like, "Okay, Becky, I nominate you to do the positive meme. Dawn, I nominate you to find the good gif. And Tony, I'm putting you in charge of the song." And within, I think, 10 minutes time,
You guys had
there
it.
was a positive message, a gif a GIF and a song.
So I do a positive message in the morning,
Mhm.
and I got the idea partially from your message in the
Yes.
morning, which you send out to, you know.
I send out my message to the morning exclusively to 2 people.
Mhm.
And then it's one of those things where I'll sit there and I'll send the message to Heather and I'll send the message to Tony. And then once I have them 2 out of the way, whoever else pops into my head, I send out a message to them too.
That's awesome.
And the funny thing is every time I do it that way, the people who I send the messages to back send me a message saying, I really needed that. Thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome how
Yeah.
that is.
It
That's
is.
how
So
it
so
works.
I took the step from, you know, from her, because I started sending her like a smiley face in the morning.
Yes.
And then I was like, you know, there's quite a few other people that I really want to touch in the morning too with it.
Yeah.
And so I do like a funny gif or smile or something
Yeah.
first,
Mhm.
and then a positive meme, and then a song.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, guys, and then a message. Let's get this day going. Let's do this. Today's a great day, no matter what you're going through. And I put that out there because if there's anybody else who needs that in the morning, you're more than welcome to send me a message if you want to be added to it. I know that we have friends that are not just religious or whatever, so
Yes.
I try to put out there every, you know,
Yes.
kind of change it
Yes,
up
you
because
change
I
it up.
respect their beliefs as well.
Exactly.
And but I do have a lot of stuff because I am
Mhm.
religious. I do listen to Christian music too,
Yes.
you know, and whatnot. So I do put a lot of really good positive songs on there too.
Yes.
So if you are really needing like a positive message in the morning, please send me a message and I can add you to that.
the group. Yes.
I ended up just making a full message or like a
Yes.
group because it was a lot to try to remember and not miss
Yes.
somebody. So I was like,
Exactly.
okay, we're just gonna make this across the board.
And
You know.
you do take, like I do, I take mornings off. So some
There are
mornings
some
we're
times,
just
yeah.
not feeling it,
There
or
are some times. But,
yeah.
You know, but and at that time, now that I know that I can be like, hey,
Yes.
I'm kind of busy today if you guys
Yeah.
don't mind, because I want to
Someone take it
continue
over,
putting that
yes.
positive message out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Because it seems to be doing a good thing, and I'm thankful for that. So we got a couple more
Yeah.
things in chat.
Yeah. Tony says, look up the 30-day water talk experiment. It's absolutely crazy what happens just with your words.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
And we got
Yeah.
Kenna saying we hit 3 carts in Walmart parking because no one put them away, right? LOL.
Yeah.
Oh, lot, not
In the
LOL.
parking lot.
Lot,
Yeah.
not LOL.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
I
In the
made her
parking
sound like,
lot. 3. Yeah.
it's made it sound like she
Yeah.
was, you know, laughing
Yeah.
about it. Sorry,
Exactly.
Kenna.
So
No,
Whoops.
she hit it.
They hit. Yeah,
They hit the carts?
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
it is.
It's when you don't put the cart up and then you come back and there's a dent
Mm-hmm.
and you go, what the heck? And you look over and there's
Why?
a cart that had bounced off your car. 'cause you did-
Yeah.
Now, if
Yeah.
you're
Although
just
I'm
if you're just
still-
driving through the parking lot and tagging them, well, I don't know what to do with it.
I'm
Yeah.
still trying to figure out how the cart managed to take off a rear view mirror, but you know,
Jeez.
I actually think it was somebody's car, but
A rear view mirror?
yeah, my side view mirror ripped off one of my side view mirrors.
Oh, your side view. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of the one in the
Yeah.
middle of the glass, and I'm
No,
like,
no.
How
it
did
jumped
that
in the
happen?
car and
Yeah.
ripped it off.
Somebody-
No, it was
Is this
um,
Christine cart?
Yeah.
maybe,
Possibly.
maybe.
Another thing that we were going to talk about was
Yeah, but we really didn't talk about Friendsgiving.
Yeah,
We
you
just
gotta talk about
mentioned
Friendsgiving.
it.
I'm jumping. I love my hat so much. Okay, so Friendsgiving.
Yes.
We had Friendsgiving yesterday, and one of the things that I've always wanted to do is to get people together. I have lots of different people that I truly love, feel that,
Yes.
you know, they're my friends, my family, my tribe. And you guys were on board with me. I was like, hey, let's do a Thanksgiving dinner. Like, we'll do it before Thanksgiving so more
Yes.
people can make it. I know holidays are crazy. So we started to do a thing, Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving.
And we invited a lot of people. And if some weren't able to make it, some were able to be there.
yeah.
And with the ones that came, Adam and I did the turkey and the ham and the
Yes.
potatoes, and
Yeah.
Tony helped with that and did the cheesecake. And
Mhm.
then other people, you brought Chex Mix,
yeah, Chex
and
Mix and stuffing.
There was so much food.
Oh yeah.
Denise and Chris brought. I asked her to bring a relish tray, which I just meant like pickles and olives, and she's like, I looked it up, and traditional was like celery and veggies, and I didn't know that, so I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then she brought rolls and stuff. I did
Yeah.
homemade hot cocoa, and
And
just-
the hot cocoa was fabulous.
thank you. It was just
Yes.
so fun,
It was
you know.
about 20 people all together.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I missed
Yes.
it. I had to
well,
host
all
a,
right.
Your granddaughter.
I had to host
We-
the
we
grandkids'
understood.
birthday
We
party
understand
at
the
the man
granddaughter
cave. We
and
did,
stuff.
but you guys,
Yes. So
But there's just the feeling of everybody being
being
there. It
together
made me think,
and the fellowship and
yeah,
just
Yeah.
made
the
me think of the
outpouring.
man cave.
Right.
Yes.
It made me think of how comfortable it is to be there and have so many different people, different walks of life together and come
Yes.
together and enjoy the
Each-
fellowship,
yeah.
the food, and just the company.
Yes.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
it was so uplifting with everybody. There wasn't any ill will of anything.
No.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any, issues or anything. Everybody was happy. They were full.
Yes.
It was just
Yes.
fun. It was so fun. And I just want to continue to do that. And I know you guys are on
Yes.
board.
Yes.
So I was like, okay,
Yep.
everybody, Christmas?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was
So there will be Strange Friendsmas after Christmas
Yeah.
sometime in January.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, make sure I got the right dates so that I
Yes.
I clear up
Yes.
any conflicts.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
and we
couldn't
know
disappoint Josh. Well,
we-
the 9th,
Oh.
when you guys had it yesterday,
Yeah.
is actually Jocelyn's and Hope's. It's both of their
Oh,
birthdays.
man.
goodness.
Can't miss Jocelyn and Hope.
You can't miss
now Hope's still
those.
having her own individual birthday party next Saturday, but my mom and everybody was there, and everybody was hanging out. So
That's awesome. That's understandable. Like, I knew there's certain, things that people got going on. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on. It feels
Yeah.
like a lot of attacks towards people right now. And I kind of want to touch base on that
Yeah.
and get your perspective on
Yeah.
this. I don't know any other way to put it. There's just been so much stuff going on.
Yes.
And it just feels like it's under like a attack right now before the new year happens.
Mhm.
And it seems like that happens almost every year. Like,
Yeah.
we're just all at the end of our rope, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I've noticed there's been a lot of depression.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of people being sick lately. There's
Yeah.
just so much stuff going on. Lots of
Financial
changes.
issues.
Financial, there's all kinds of things just happening. And I've always felt like, I'm like, is this an attack? Like, what's happening? Or
Yeah.
is it just that we're evolving and learning from these very end things before the new year happens to start the new year off right? So I guess I'm asking what your perspective is on that. I'm sure you felt it at times.
Well, absolutely. We're currently business wise going through. We're coming to the end of a difficulty. I had a friend of mine that I've known for about 3 years now. We got into a business deal together, and he embezzled money, and
Oh my
so
gosh.
and caused some other issues. And right now we're in the process of recovering that. So my company right now, business wise, is we're really, really tight on cash for about another week.
Yeah.
And then everything's going to break back open. We just had to get through this difficult spot. But to understand to get a better perspective of it, most people, when they encounter depression or sickness or difficulty, we tend to go to the negative. We tend to go to the difficult, why is this happening to me and everything like that. And we've got to, first of all, change our perspective on what's actually happening.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you encounter difficulty, first of all, James chapter 1, it says, endure hardship, or it says, consider it pure joy. And I do a teaching on it. That's commanding joy. The Greek word actually, when it says consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because it's testing your faith. The actual Greek word there means to command with absolute authority. So when we read the word consider it joy, we go, all right, I'm going to try to consider it. No, it says command with absolute authority joy over this trial and test, because you have to develop your faith and develop perseverance and become mature.
Mhm.
And you guys can look that up. It's James chapter 1, right in the first 3, 4, 5 verses. So that's a perspective change where we understand that I have to take authority over these situations, and I have to consider these hardships as a good thing. And not to go into too deep, but if you study the first 3 chapters of Job and then understand the conclusion of the whole book, in the first 3 chapters, he loses everything. And there's some real depth and dynamics there.
Mhm.
But suffice it to say, he loses everything in the beginning, and at the end of the story, he gains back double what he lost,
Okay.
and his whole life is straightened out.
Wow.
So, in fact, in chapter 3, he says, that which I feared most has come upon me. When you recognize a fear in your life, and we can counter that, or we can make that parallel with a sickness or a dysfunction or whatever it is. But let's just look at fear.
Mhm.
When you come up against a fear in your life, fear is I've come to learn, and I teach one. It's a one part. Have you listened to that one?
No, not yet. I
Okay.
haven't.
Because I know I gave it to a bunch of you guys.
Yeah,
Requested
I didn't get it yet, but I do want to listen to it because
Yeah.
I've heard it's
So Fear
very
the Great
good.
Gateway. I did just a one like a 1 hour teaching or
Mhm.
55 minutes or whatever it is. But I teach on it how awesome fear is. Dawn's nodding her head. She's listening
Yes,
to it.
Yeah.
Dawn is in possession of them
Yeah.
right now.
So when I teach there in fear, about fear is that once you begin to understand fear can become so awesome in your life.
Mhm.
Because what fear does is it tells you, number one, that there's an open door of vulnerability in your life.
Yeah.
All right, wrong pipe.
Yes.
So fear, when you recognize fear in your life,
Mhm.
one, it's an open door of vulnerability. Number two, it shows that you're not strong in that area or built up in that area when you have that fear. So case in point, whenever I am driving my truck and I see a deer in my mind,
Mhm.
I'll have a flash of a deer on the side of the road or jumping through the air. I say, Lord, I confess that fear. Because the fear of a deer jumping, I've hit
Yeah.
deer in the past.
Right.
Okay. And we hit deer a lot in this state.
Yes.
And I say, Lord, I confess I confess that fear of a deer jumping out.
Mhm.
I cancel that assignment. I speak protection over my vehicle and over my occupants if I have other people with me.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then I drive on.
I'm glad that you brought that up because
Yeah.
I've had that a lot lately.
Whenever you have, and people call it a premonition or whatever,
Mhm.
but Becky just said it a minute ago. She's like, and then all of a sudden, she's sending out her morning things, and this person will pop in her mind. No, that's the Lord going, Becky, send that to him.
Exactly.
And
Right.
so the same thing when you're driving along, and if we would use fear properly, we understand that fear, and the title of that message is Fear the Great Gateway,
Mhm.
because once you understand how fear is supposed to be used in your life, then you can use it from a positive aspect, because the Lord, here's the case in point. If you didn't have any fear of bears, okay, or mountain lions or whatever is out there,
Mhm.
when you go out in the woods, you go, oh, kitty, and you would be eaten.
Yeah.
True.
So
For sure.
fear is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, this is not Pooh Bear and your kitty cat coming up to see you.
No.
These are
This
animals
is
that will
this is deer.
they will eat you. Okay. And so when you understand that fear can be a very powerful thing. Now here's the caveat or the dynamic. Fear is never supposed to rule you or control you. It's just simply supposed to give you insight or protect you or let you know that there's something wrong. If you didn't have fear, if you didn't have that dynamic of oh, that's a bear, I should slowly step back and find a good safe spot.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't run.
So when everybody's dealing with stuff, okay, first of all, change your perspective.
Okay.
You got to look at it and go, okay, if difficulty is coming into my life, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
First and foremost, if you're having difficulty, one thing it should tell you is you are able to stand up against it.
Yeah.
Okay? If you can't physically work out at the gym, then you don't understand the pain of working out and being sore the next day, right?
Mhm.
So the fact that you're feeling sore the next day, some people go, "Oh man, I'm feeling so sore." Yeah, but you had the ability to go work out and get
It's
to that
working.
place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? So you first and foremost got to go, look, if difficulty's coming in my life, if depression's coming into my life, if financial troubles are coming into my life, that means that should tell me, and I got to tell myself that I can achieve something beyond this, that I can be better than this, because otherwise it wouldn't be difficult.
Yeah.
We've all met people that are dirt poor and don't care. They
Yeah.
don't think there's anything unusual about that.
Right.
Whereas when we encounter difficulties in our finance, we go, I don't want to live like this.
Yeah.
I want to have, just like scripture says, be generous on all occasions. I want to have money in my pocket for myself and the people around me if they have need.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't want to be rich to be a rich jerk. I want to be rich so that I can bless the people around me and encourage and help other people while they get through their stuff so they can get to the next level.
Yep, because of being in that position before. Like that's one of my prayers in the morning is I want to be able to have that abundance to help others out
Yeah.
because I've been there and they've helped
Yeah.
me.
Absolutely.
You know, and one of my biggest things, like the sky is falling financially when stuff is going bad financially.
Yeah.
I am Chicken Little.
Yeah.
I am running around going, "Oh my god, what am I going to do?" And like it really makes me sick.
Well-
I freak out.
You know, there's certain people, my crew can testify of this, and even Tony's worked with me in the past, but I've never had a major injury ever on my crew.
Mhm.
You know, you hit your
That's
nail or
awesome.
something like that, but
Yeah.
I've never had a major injury. Always my job sites are safe and things like that, you know. But my guys, I would walk in and not completely because they're autonomous, they have their own thing. But when they're on my job site, it's my job site, and so I speak protection over my guys. And so I carry insurance and all that jazz. But the bottom line is I speak protection over my crew.
Yeah.
I speak, you know, I come in there and I go, Lord, I speak protection over my crew, over the job site, over everything. And so suffice it to say, I didn't do that with my money for years.
Yeah.
So this current situation that I'm dealing with, when it started to happen, I said, okay, wait a minute, Lord. I said, why is this happening? This is a trusted friend. This feels like, you know, Judas times 10. Even though I'm not going to the cross, I'm just not being able to go to the bank.
Right.
But it's betrayal, you know.
Right.
And I'm like, what the heck, Lord? I mean, I don't even want to compare it on that scale, but you know what I'm saying. I was like, dude. And he goes, you don't speak over your money like you speak over the rest of the years of your life. And I went, oh, shit, you're right. You know, I'm like, okay, Lord. All right. I speak protection over my crew, over my job, over my company, and over my money.
Now on that part with the end part about money,
Mhm.
like I don't know about you, but growing up, I always felt like it was bad to want money, like it was evil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of us grow up thinking that.
Yeah.
But it's really not that case.
No,
It's what
absolutely
you
not.
do with the money that can be evil.
And they've twisted it.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd did it, and I literally had a fortune cookie the other day. My mother-in-law and I went out to the Chinese food place, and the fortune cookie she got was how did it say? It said, "Money is the root of all evil, and men need money." And it was like, what the hell does that mean? I was like, what? So men are evil? Who wrote this? Some militant dyke that's just got a chip on her shoulder? I don't know. Anyways, it was crazy. We're trying to figure that out. I took Nate out.
I was gonna, you
almost
just
took
broke
it.
the Asian.
But no, the scripture actually says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And it actually goes, I've done a pretty deep study on that, and it's talking about how it's not even talking about the love of money as far as you and I loving money.
Right.
It's talking about that the people who have, and it's actually the word silver in there, the people that have silver, it is evil, and that word evil there, it means to toil or to labor at something that is useless.
Okay.
And so it's talking about how that when you toil at something that is useless, it's because you're loving those people that worship silver.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so when we have the correct perspective and understand that money is simply a tool, just like any other tool that I'm going to use in my life, and it's a very powerful tool. I remember missionaries coming in and they hold up a toothbrush and they go, this toothbrush costs us $1. But with this toothbrush, we can minister to the million plus people that live in the dump in Indonesia. There's a huge garbage dump in Indonesia, and like 1 million people live in this dump. But they go in there and they literally build their shanties inside the garbage. And he said, we can go in with this toothbrush because these people don't have toothbrushes. And then there's other missionaries that hold up a pencil and they go, just help me get by another, 10,000 pencils. He says, because we go into Africa and the people there have one tunic that they take off every so often and wash out in the river and then put it back on. And that's the only article of clothing they have. And he said, we give them pencils when they come to class, and we're teaching them, and they're training to be pastors or ministers or whatever they're doing. And he said, he says, one time the Lord told me to take up an offering. I said, Lord, they have nothing. They have nothing. And he says, take up the offering. And so he said they took up an offering, and the basket was full of pencils because these people gave what they had.
Yeah.
And he said, and then there was something else that happened that they were blessed with more stuff. But the point is that money is just a tool. And if you use it to give toothbrushes or pencils or whatever it is, or to help somebody, then it's powerful. If you use it as leverage and you try to rip people off, then you're going to suffer the consequences. And none of us have to worry about those consequences. It's amazing how much the Lord works out things against people that don't do the right thing, and it's unfortunate. Pray for those people too. But at the end of the day, you want to do good. So again, when we're talking about people having difficulties and everything like that, number one, change your perspective. Realize that if you're going through something, it's because you have you have what it takes to get through it.
Yeah.
If you weren't going through it, then you could just say, well, I guess I can't handle that. Because that scripture is true. It says the Lord will never give you anything that you can't handle. But most people forget the second part, that he says he'll provide a way out. And that's not a way, one of the translations says a way of escape. No, it means that he will, if you listen, you will learn the best way to persevere and get through that thing. Here's what happens so many times if you don't change your perspective on it is you just keep repeating the same lesson over and over and over and over again, and you're failing the test.
Yep.
But if you learn from the test and you have the right perspective, then you will go from victory to victory to victory to victory. Scripture says that we've been made more than conquerors. Well, made means to fashion or form. So we've been fashioned and formed into somebody who's more than a conqueror. Well, that's a process. And so when you're going through financial difficulties, okay, so I would sit down with you one-on-one and I'd say, okay, Heather, are you speaking over your money?
Nope.
Are you shutting the doors on financial leaks and financial waste? Not that we don't go out and enjoy ourselves and do things like that. We don't go, I can't go to the store and have a frappe or whatever.
Right. But sometimes.
But sometimes you do get told to just taper it back a little bit. But at the end of the day, are you speaking over your finances and saying no? Because one of the things that happens with me is anytime it's amazing. I've famously said it to a lot of people. I'm like, people don't steal from me. Now I've had jobs that I've been taken for. Okay, one or two, and this current one, right? Two. So this is the second one.
Yeah, and you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. But Scripture says in Proverbs that if you catch the thief, he has to pay back 7 times what he stole from you, though it costs him his whole house. Okay?
Right.
And I don't demand it of that person. I put that on the Lord because he wrote that. He had Solomon write that in there. I'm like, okay, if you put that in there and I stand on that, then I'm requiring of you to get it. You wouldn't believe, even before this whole process is done, how much work has come in, how much blessing has come in, how much everything. Now the money's we're like 3 or 4 days away from everything just going boom, 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 boom. And I go, dude, okay, we're sitting good today.
That's good.
But today I'm like, honey, I need one of the cards that actually has money on it so I can get up to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas next week I'll be like, all right, how many cards did you pay off?
Right.
Right,
exactly.
It's like, okay, cool. So, but my point is that you have to speak over you have to be, I've said this to a lot of people, we are more concerned with the way with our order at the drive-through than we are with the important things of life.
Yeah.
If they mess up our order in the drive-through, we drive back around, we get out of the car, we grab the bag, we stomp into the store and we go, you didn't put the right sauce on here. There's pickles on here. And I said, no pickles.
You're right.
And then we get back in the car and we don't think about, you didn't speak over your pocketbook. You didn't speak over your phones. You didn't speak over any of your equipment. You didn't speak over any of this stuff, and then we go, well, no one, I'm not protecting my things. And you don't have to be fearful about that. But when fear is a great gateway. When you feel like, Lord, I feel like this equipment's going to mess up tonight. So I speak over this equipment right now. And I don't always catch everything,
Right.
Because I'm not God. I don't know everything.
Right.
But fear is a good way. When you're dealing with depression, there's no word for depression in Scripture. No. What they can best translate as depression is just darkness. Well, start studying if you're going through depression, I encourage people, and it's a case by case. Everybody's unique,
Yeah.
Oh, for
and they're
sure.
dealing with stuff, and there's compounding aspects. But start doing a study on light and how you've been made a child of the light. Go through Ephesians, where it talks about how you've been translated from darkness to light, and it talks about how the mind of unbelievers has been made darkness. And then understanding, okay, if the mind of an unbeliever is darkness, then maybe I need to get a hold of something in faith, just something little, something small to get me started, to get some light coming in, to give me something, that light at the end of the tunnel, you know, just something to grasp hold of. Because if you sit there and stew on it and meditate on it, it becomes your reality. And that's one of the biggest issues is, what are you meditating on?
Right.
Are you meditating on the positive stuff, no matter what's going through? And in this situation, the owner of the project that we're involved in, that we have this financial difficulty going on, every time we get on the phone and we rant and rave and we go, this SOB's, doing this and doing that. And he says, how, what's going on with the lawyers and what's going on with this, what's going on with that. At the end of the conversation, or even through the course of the conversations, we go, yeah, but you know what? One of us will say it. He'll say it or I'll say it. I go, but I know the Lord is going to work something phenomenal out of this. And we're going to be so much more blessed and prosperous on the other side of this. And actually, I stopped by the project the other day, and the owners were down there just cleaning up trash and stuff and organizing. And, we all looked at each other and we're like, you know what? I looked at him and I said, but one thing, the resolve and the intestinal fortitude and the determination that we have now because this situation came up would not be what it is if it hadn't happened. Yeah. Because this happened, we're like, nope, I'm going to guard my money. Nope, we're going to guard my project. Nope, we're going to make sure that our suppliers and our materials and all of our stuff are in line. We're not going to let the architect, do stupid stuff. And we're on top of this now.
Right.
And the Lord goes, that's what I needed. I needed you to be dogged and determined in what you're doing, because you relaxed, and the fox came in and ate all your chickens. Now you're getting a new batch of chickens. Are you going to be protective of your chickens? Yes.
For sure.
And I need some eggs.
I feel I feel that on me and Becky have been talking about the difference with our health and whatnot. Yeah. And since, there was some financial stuff that happened, and now Adam and I are, finally coming out on the other side of it. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, what can I do, because my health has not been the best.
Right.
So I'm like, well, maybe like a massage once a month or whatever to kind of get rid of the detox, or whatever.
Right.
And I'm going, okay. I used to think of that stuff like, no way, I'm not spending that kind of money, but it's for my health,
You've got to, and one of the biggest things that I tell people and encourage people is listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, listen to your body. Just pay attention to what your body is communicating to you, because that's another thing. That's what I was saying. Fear is what I was talking about, but sickness is another thing.
Yeah.
Sickness is and let me give the caveat to everybody. Sickness is a phenomenal thing in your life, because death is really bad.
Yeah.
But if you get sick, that's your body going, something's wrong.
Yes.
You need to figure out what it is. Yeah. If you didn't get sick and then you just drop dead, that's a bad thing. So the fact that you got sick goes, there's an issue, you need to address it. Most people, especially in Western countries, we want to take a pill that masks the symptoms of the sickness and never deal with the root. Okay? We don't want to deal with diabetes. We want to take a pill that flushes out the 150 pounds of sugar that we eat every year, instead of adjusting our diet, dealing with things, and listening to our body and going, hey, I know what I can eat at night. I know what I can't eat at night, because I know what for the most part, I know when I pace myself. We were hanging out last night, and somebody says, well, what are you drinking now? And I said, I'm drinking water now. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, you done? I'm done for the night. Because I want to be able to sleep and not sit up with acid reflux for 4 or 5 hours. I want to be able to go to sleep. So I stopped drinking about 2 hours ago. I'm still enjoying myself.
Right.
I had my adult beverage. I'm still feeling good. I'm hanging with everybody. But I know tonight, with the combination of foods that we just ate and having a drink, I need to stop. I need to taper off. And so that's just a small thing. But I mean, overall, you got to listen to your body. When you feel an ache and pain, don't ignore it. Don't freak out about it and go overboard. But at the same time, what's the situation? I'm the type of person, when I feel an ache or pain, I'm going to fix it right now.
Yeah.
My back's, I wear my back out all day long on a job site, and then I come in and I'm trying to crack my back, and the Lord will go, stop it. And I go, but it hurts. If I can just adjust it, he goes, it's not going to adjust away soreness. You're sore right now. Just relax. And I go, you're right. But so it's paying attention to yourself. And then on the top of it, here's a awesome thing. Speak over yourself, health and healing. Start speaking over yourself and saying, I speak health. Every time you think about the sickness and disease, go, I speak over myself, health and healing.
Yeah.
And then watch how much more, how many more times you hear from the Lord, whether you recognize it as the Lord or not. You'll hear, don't eat that. Or you'll get a craving for something really good. Okay. I don't know why almonds popped in my head, but I'm not an almond promoter, but, and I don't like, I'm crazy as it is, so I don't need any more nuts, but, I just, for some reason, so you get a craving for almonds or whatever, right? And you just, I gotta go eat some almonds. Well, whatever it is, just whatever you get, do it, and then gauge how your body reacts. There are certain nutrients that you can only get from certain foods. So when you feel like, good cravings, that's the goofy thing about it is we want to take, because of Christianity and everything, we want to get rid of we want to get rid of half of us, half of who we are, half of our makeup. Okay. It's like, well, lust is bad. Well, not if it's towards my wife.
Right.
Lust for my wife's phenomenal. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, and then they go, well, cravings, if you're craving some kind of food, that could be, no, that could be really,
your body might need what
yeah,
you're
your
craving.
body's cravings. No, if you're paying attention to it, okay, so now the balance is, all right, lust for somebody else's wife, obviously
not
is not good, but lust in and of itself,
right,
for your spouse, phenomenal, right? A craving for something good, apart from being addicted to sugar, caffeine, or whatever it is, that's a good thing.
Craving
right?
for a big gulp, not so much.
How many of us have known pregnant ladies that crave pickles and ice cream and all sorts of stuff? And you go, what the heck? But realize her body, if she doesn't have all the nutrients that they need, that the baby needs, her body will literally cannibalize itself to make sure that the baby is healthy.
Yeah.
Women have come out of pregnancy with the first stages of osteoporosis because the body literally leached out calcium out of the bones in order to make sure that the baby had solid bones. It's
so anyway.
Yeah. So it's again, that's, if we would just pay attention and understand, wait a minute, I'm addicted to sugar. I've got this other issues, so it's like, yeah. Becky, you were nodding your head when I was talking about that.
Yes, because I have spoken over myself, and in the last 3 months, my shopping cart has looked a lot different. Now, granted, there are still some sugar things that I put in the cart,
right.
But the majority of the sugar things that I put in my cart recently were bananas, peaches, apples, yogurt.
Yeah.
Instead of candy, and more candy.
Right.
Candy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
absolutely.
So when you change that perspective,
yes,
you start to go towards the more healthier options of things. But it's been easy to be able to okay, I'm gonna have that whole row of Oreos.
Yeah,
because that's what I'm craving right now. But I've changed, and when you start to make that step,
1 or 2 Oreos is just as good as the whole sleeve.
Yeah, as long as you are not sitting there, that's just really the perspective you change. You get that thought in your mind and.
Yeah,
start
and
taking care of yourself.
you got to move into the balance area as well of understanding. Like for me, you guys know me, I'm a heavy meat eater.
You're right.
Very, and my vegetable count is not as high, but at the same time, I'm very low on candies and sugars and things like that.
Yeah.
And even I've cut back a lot on breads. I try to limit myself to one Mountain Dew in the morning, and then drink water predominantly through the rest of the day until later in the evening when there's an adult beverage that's appropriate.
Right.
But it's getting rid of this processed fast food garbage.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
bad.
man.
Yes.
I was talking with one of Jocelyn's friends last night, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm lactose intolerant," and she's like, 11 years old. And
Right.
I said, well, I said that's I was lactose intolerant when I was a kid, and I don't drink very much milk, but I do, um, I love sour cream and cream cheese,
Uh-huh.
but I also take probiotics,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
acidophilus or just a full. I've got three or
Yeah.
four that I take for that, just for overall digestion, but it also helps with that. And I
Mhm.
said, but did you know that if we drank raw milk, that nobody's lactose intolerant?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's the process.
It's the
and
Because the
process,
raw
over and
the
over.
exactly because the raw
pasteurization
milk
and stuff.
has the bacteria in it that it needs to digest itself within
Yeah.
your gut flora, and so that's the other aspect of it. It's
Yeah.
like, eat what is what is good and healthy for you to eat.
Yes.
So when you're talking about adjusting your cart, you're adjusting your cart for what's healthy for
Me.
Becky.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And with being on 5 IV antibiotics a day, having that yogurt is very important.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Well, any type of fermented,
Yeah.
find a good fermented um, dietary supplement. I mean, like
Yeah.
saying it. Find a good fermented um, substance for your meal, whether it's yogurt or kefir or something like that,
Mhm.
because that fermentation is also another
Yeah.
source of good flora and bacteria for your gut and helps you digest. A lot of the issues that we have with digestion is the processed food. That's
Yeah.
first and foremost, and the garbage that they put in there just to make it last longer on the shelf or to make filler in it. But the other aspect is we deplete our gut flora, and so
Yeah.
our digestive system doesn't work as well. I've told you guys before, I take carnivore, which I buy from Infowars,
Mhm.
and that is a specific probiotic for red meat diets. And I absolutely I take it every day.
Mhm.
Maybe once in a while I miss it, but for the most part I take it every day, just one pill.
Mhm.
And I know I if anybody does it, look up carnivore, and if you eat a lot of red meat, okay,
Mhm.
take that pill for about 2 weeks, like 2 pills a day, and you'll watch that you're no longer sluggish after eating a big red
Yeah.
meat diet.
Yeah, and it's weird how foods can do that to us. Like
It
my
is.
big thing, we've talked about it before, is me being gluten,
Yeah.
having that gluten allergy.
Yeah.
Anytime that I get any trace of it in my diet, I can tell because I
Yeah.
get so tired.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
that's
I start,
another one too.
getting itchy, and it's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's a very scary thing. But we used to be able to tolerate that, but now
Yeah.
it's so
Well,
much more processed.
Yeah, it's processed, and we don't have the whole grain.
Mhm.
And I'm not one of those whole grain bread people, because even if they keep the whole grain, they don't keep all of the germ and everything like that
Yeah.
in it. But the biggest problem is that the wheat that we eat is not the wheat, because I struggle with this.
Mhm.
I look at and I go, people are going gluten free, and bread and wheat products, flour products are bad for them. And I go, Lord, that doesn't make sense to me, because all over Scripture, you came on the scene saying I'm the bread of life, and I go, well, how does that how does that work?
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
gluten, all these people are and I go, and first and foremost, they use a 2 foot dwarf wheat that grows extremely fast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the same wheat that they grew back 2,000 years ago
Right.
in the Middle East. They used to be able to. They were big heads that they would pick and eat the grains, so they were eating the whole grains. They didn't. Of course, they were Jewish, so they didn't use yeast
Mhm.
in their cooking of it. So there's a whole bunch of other dynamics. So if you went back to the type of wheat that they were eating, and you went back to the process that they used and the breads that came from that, you wouldn't be.
Right.
Right.
You wouldn't have
And
a
I've
gluten.
heard that.
Yeah, you wouldn't
so
have that.
much.
Yeah.
But because in Western culture we use those inferior products, because with a dwarf wheat that only grows 2 foot, they can grow it twice a year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now they're doubling their
mass
crop.
production stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just yeah.
And another thing is that I say I am a very strong vegan,
Mm-hmm.
because cows eat grass,
Right.
and then I eat cows.
Yeah.
So I'm actually more refined. I'm a very refined vegan, because I'm doubling the process.
Yeah.
So when that steak's on my grill, I just it's oh man,
If
I can taste the corn and grass.
if
I
it wasn't
can't.
for that part of your diet, like when we went down there, you make a really good beef tips and noodles.
Yeah.
Can't get that out. Holy crap. So if
You
it
almost
wasn't
cussed.
for
I almost heard
if
it.
it wasn't
Yeah.
for that part of it, because I can't have the noodles,
But
like
the beef tips were
right,
phenomenal.
phenomenal with the mushroom.
You can do rice. We should do next
Can't
time.
do rice
She can't
anymore.
do rice either.
Can
I
you do-
used to
can
be
you
able
do,
to, but I can't because of my stomach.
She could do riced cauliflower.
I could do that.
Can you do quinoa?
You know what? I have to check that out and find out. It's the expansion
Find
of
out.
stuff, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Find out. Let's find out if we
Yeah.
can do some quinoa because we can pour that over a bed of anything that's tasty.
I bet
Make
you.
it good. But yeah, so you know, part of the big problem is our food is so processed, and there's so many people that are waking up to it. It's not just getting the little GMO, non-GMO stamp on the food. It's really being a wise consumer of what you're eating and not just shoveling things down. And obviously, all things being considered, it's you can't always eat the best stuff because life is fast and moving and
yeah.
everything like that.
Right.
But on the whole, what are you doing? What are you eating? You know, and that makes a ton of difference. But understanding that it's like I'm not a big candy person, but I do have certain candies that I like, and I usually only do them when I'm going to the movies.
Right.
But it's because I was a hyperactive kid, and so it wasn't the sugar that jacked me up as a kid. It was yellow number 5 and
Oh, dyes.
blue 40 and
red,
know, all these-
whatever.
and those dyes are
Yeah.
horrible. My mom would
Other countries don't even put them in their food.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
So-
there's countries like France and stuff that won't allow Monsanto to even market their products. there.
Good.
You know,
Good. Tom.
And it's because they've got a big lobby that they're continuing to do that. But
Yeah.
it's going to straighten out. The one thing I was thinking of was I know of just a recent testimony of a guy who was diagnosed as being diabetic, and he walked out of the dentist's office and he changed his diet and he started eating tons and tons of red meat.
Yeah.
And within a year or 6 months, there was no trace of diabetes.
Mhm.
And what he found out is he said that protein, the higher, it's all going to be balanced. Okay. So you don't just go from 0 to 100% protein. You got to have a good balance. That's why I like the zone diet. Now I don't adhere to that totally, but that balanced 40, 30, 30 mix of protein, fat, and carbs. He said, but protein with good carbohydrates, not the processed garbage, but good carbohydrates. The protein causes the carbs to digest slower. So the sugar from the good carbohydrates is metered out
Yeah.
throughout your day when you eat good red meat or good meat, good protein meat. You can eat chicken or whatever it is, but good protein, it balances out the whole thing. And when you look at it from that perspective, I go, man, I've been ahead of the curve, baby.
Yeah. There
Give me
you
that
I was
go.
going to say, and that's one of the things that they've been telling me with my wound is
Yeah.
higher protein
Yeah.
content is better for me right now because
healing.
protein helps
Yeah. It's a
promote
building block.
healthy healing.
Yeah. Well, and the
So-
wheat, one of the problems we have with the wheat is that the strand, the wheat germ, the protein strand in the wheat is so long that it doesn't get processed. It actually attaches itself to the lining of the colon and it clogs. There's all these little receptors in your colon that are supposed to receive the nutrients as it's going through the digestion. And what happens is these long proteins get pulled into the receptor, but because it can't be broken down and digested, it actually sticks in there
Oh God.
and clogs it up.
Mhm.
And so you get this, not only do you lose your good flora and good bacteria in your colon, but now you're clogged up in all these micropores because of that. And then you get to a place like you where you build up such an overtoxicity and clogged pores that now when that stuff comes in, you can't even tolerate it anymore because there's nowhere to like just push it off to the side into some empty pores. Now your pores are all stuck full of it.
Yeah.
And so you do a good cleanse. I don't know if you've done that,
Change it up,
but do
yeah.
a good cleanse and then get into the good foods so that you're no longer sensitive to that. But
probiotics and
that's why I say, I want the cow. It's like people go, they've made the joke about cows and how they have 4 stomachs, and they go, well, if God was real, why did He make such an animal that has to have 4 stomachs to be able to do it? And I go, what do cows eat? They eat grains that have very long strands of protein strands that take a long time to break down. And so to have 4 stomachs and to be able to chew it, they literally chew it, spit it up, chew it, spit it up, chew it, spit it up,
Yeah.
and it goes throughout their stomachs. And I go, it literally at a certain point starts to ferment within their stomachs, okay,
Yeah.
and that's what breaks down the process, the
Mm-hmm.
proteins. So for them to eat certain wheats and stuff like that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But we're not supposed to be eating stuff like that,
Right.
and we've got to be wiser to that.
I think my downfall was for quite a while there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna jump on the healthy train and I'm gonna eat everything wheat, noodles and bread, and
Yeah.
then like 3 years later is when I found out that I had
Yeah.
the gluten allergy. I'm like,
Yeah. And then you're like, that's why
Hmm.
I'm breaking out. That's why I got
yeah,
all this
oh,
stuff.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Plus on top of we've talked about the PCOS, so those hand in
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
Bad.
There's a
Bad-
book
bad
out,
thing.
doctor out of, I think he was out of Chicago, or he is out of Chicago, and it's called Wheat Bellies.
Yep.
Yeah. And his book is, I've listened to a number of his interviews, and he gets on there and he said, there were all these people that were coming to him. He was a heart surgeon, and he was doing major bypass surgeries. He was scheduling, I don't know how many a week. And he started telling people, okay, I want you to take all the wheat out of you're scheduled for next month, or, bypass surgery. I want you to take all the wheat out of your diet. And they'd come back a month later or 2 weeks later and already see significant changes
Wow.
in their arteries. And he would be canceling surgeries. And that's when he started writing out this. And beer is made out of wheat. So
Oh yeah.
if you're a heavy beer drinker, you could have, that thing. And there's a lot of guys around me now that are starting to go to, wheatless beers, like the gluten-free beers. stuff
Angry
like that.
Orchard. You can have that. I know that one.
I drink the apple ones.
Yeah,
I
the
know they got
sinful
I know they got
apple.
I know they got some other stuff in them, but by and large, they're
Yeah.
pretty solid. So
So we're getting closer to or past that time, but I wanted you to go
yeah,
ahead.
you guys only go for an hour. It's
We only go for an
amazing.
hour.
We do.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I wanted you to touch base on your podcast
Yes.
because the listeners. I know you guys are loving what you're hearing with Jeremy tonight.
Yeah.
So can you go ahead and give them a little bit on your podcast and how that
Yes.
they can listen and subscribe?
Absolutely. Our podcast, currently we're doing it on 2 platforms, well, 3. The official This Is My Brain podcast, This Is My Brain on YouTube. We're working on that. So what we've got is we haven't been able to stream directly to that one yet.
Right.
Because
Okay.
it's a brand new channel, and so they're limiting us. But we're uploading the videos after we do the stream. So we're streaming live at my church channel, the channel
Okay.
that I used to do predominantly for all my church broadcasts, which is HFTC, or if you just look up, HFTC TV. If you look up HFTC TV, you'll find that. And then we also simulcast on Don't Make This Weird.
Yes.
So we've been doing that. We've had some technical difficulties and a few bumps in the road, but we're about to post 2 or 3 videos coming up. I'm hoping to do a live show potentially this coming Friday, but we'll see if that works out.
Right.
Because I got another birthday on Saturday and then something else on Sunday, and I'm like, okay, I got it. But we're working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And
Yeah.
the bottom line about the show is This Is My Brain. And so I took it from that idea of the old 80s, this is your brain, this is your brain on drugs things. And I was like, you know what? This is my brain on a lot of other stupid stuff out there.
Yeah, which is
And so-
probably why Heather gets it confused
I
and always calls
continually,
it, this is your brain. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no,
This
this
is
is
my
my
brain.
brain.
I called it that. I called it This Is Your Brain. And I goes, wait a minute. No, this show's about my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what the show is really about, I've done a ton of, if you go on HFTC TV, you'll see there's, I don't know how many videos on there. There's 80, 90 videos, something like that. There's a lot of videos on there. A lot of them church services, a lot of time where I just sat down, with the camera and taught a message and just shared shared something with people. But what I've come to in this point where I'm no longer doing active church services, but I still love the Lord and I'm still, encourage people, and you guys know that. But I want to be able to, what I wanted, and I talked to the Lord about this a lot. I said, Lord, I just want to be able to sit down and have conversations with people about whatever's on my mind, and simultaneously, if I have a guest on, Tony's usually my co-host on there, and I love having it because he'll pick at my brain, and I love that because he'll pick at my brain. And he'll bring up his stories, but then he'll ask me questions while we're having the dialogue, and that'll allow me to share, my brain with people. And I've, I know I'm not the right flavor for everybody, but I know that in the course of my life, I've been able to encourage and help a lot of people by just sharing, my life, sharing my heart, sharing what I've learned and what I've grown into and what I understand up to this point. And so that show is, we have a lot of fun. It's lighthearted. We have we have our adult beverages, and we have our disclaimer on there warning that, hey, if you can't handle us cussing every once in a while or having an adult beverage, then this isn't for you. But if you want to hear something encouraging and uplifting and just a good conversation, and we go for a good 2 hours every time, and we tear it up. We love doing it. We've gotten some great feedback up to this point. A lot of people being encouraged, and we get on there and talk about life. And we talked about the first three were on love. And then we've done a couple on logical fallacies. We're going to continue to do that series on logical fallacies. Those have been a blast. I think logical fallacies, bandwagon. I think Benny told me that one's edited and ready to be uploaded. So we'll have that one uploaded. The one that we did 2 weeks ago, where we were live for like the first 20 minutes, and then somehow Nate wasn't there, so Benny was trying to switch from being the editor
Right.
to being the live broadcaster, and so he didn't hit local record, and he didn't do a couple of little things, and somehow the program itself switched from being a live stream to a private recording on YouTube.
No.
I was going to say,
So we've been there.
we've
at
been
20 minutes
It's done
in,
that, yeah.
it still says we're streaming and doesn't change.
Nope.
And yet you guys all were texting me, you're like, you're no longer on. I'm like, well, I saw it, and I said, we're just going to keep going.
What can you do at
Yeah.
that point?
Yeah.
You
And
just kinda
and
roll.
so
I was
the
gonna say,
rest,
that's when
the
you need
other,
Pepper Potts to go and change it back.
so 20 minutes, 27 minutes is up there. It was the live thing, and there's like 40 views on it right now. And I'm like, okay, guys, just hold on. We're editing it back together, because we did like 2 hours and 15 minutes all total. And the other 2 hours and 4, I'm like, where'd it go? And I pull up YouTube, and I'm going through, I'm like, and I hit the one section, and there it is. An hour and 40 minutes is over here, 45 minutes. And I'm like, why did you do that? I'm like, whatever. So anyways,
It happens.
that was a really good show. That was with Ken, who was my right-hand man in ministry for about 10 years. And then my buddy Matt, and I'm gonna have Matt on there. We got a ton of, right now I'm like, we got to get together. We got to do this. Because I've got so much that I want to get out there, and so many different topics. I mean, we had to do the first 3 shows on love because we just had to.
Right.
But there's so many topics that I want to get into and just explore, because people are interested in that. They want to hear about it. And it's not, I from the feedback, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do at this point
That's awesome.
with a podcast. And so I know there'll be a lot of people moving in, but Tony's my main man, and I got to get him back down there. But so
he's listed as the
this is
number
my
one
brain.
earwig.
That's what we get in and we share.
Yeah.
And one of the things we say on the disclaimer is I censored myself in a lot of my church broadcasts because they're church broadcasts.
Right.
That wasn't mean I wasn't being fake, but if you walk into a room of 5-year-olds, you don't drop F-bombs.
Right.
Okay. So I censored myself that way. Well, this is an adult program. We have an adult beverage, and we talk about adult things. And if somebody, cusses every once in a while, cool, but we're not going to curse each other. There's a big difference between cussing and cursing.
Right.
So we stay positive and drop an F-bomb and whatever.
Right.
So that's my show, and it's part of this whole thing with the Strange Friends Media Group. And so I'm excited. And as I've said to you guys, if you're not embarrassed by your first offering, you waited too long. And so that wasn't mine. That was from a book. But I have been embarrassed that I'm like, why did this cut off 20 minutes into the broadcast? Fuck it. We're going to keep going.
Just keep on going.
The show
Just
must
gotta
go
roll.
on.
Show
as
must
it-
go on.
yes.
We'll edit that back. So we've got a whole bunch of episodes that need to be uploaded that Benny's been working on, and I'm ready to just get a bunch of people at the long bar and just sit down and do some more shows
That'd be awesome.
and a bunch of
like
different
fun.
topics. And
Yeah.
now that we've done the base topics, we're going to start to stir some shit up and really we'll see what people want to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys can check that out on
HFTC TV
All
on
right.
Yes.
YouTube. And of course, if you just look up This Is My Brain, I think it's This Is My Brain JSG.
I think you're right.
Yeah, This
Yeah.
Is My Brain JSG on YouTube. If you look up This Is My
Yeah.
Brain, it'll take you to that 80s video, and it'll take you to my my site, and then of
Awesome.
course
I
you
was
can
gonna
find us
say,
on
and
the
it's
Don't Make
this-
This Weird.
Don't Make This
podcast.
Weird podcast. We usually
Channel.
say don't. This is my brain on. Don't make this weird,
Yeah.
which is weird.
And people
so,
are really loving it. We've heard some really great feedback and passed
Yeah.
that on to you.
yeah.
I was
Um,
gonna say, and there's also an Instagram page.
Oh yes, Benny's really helping me with the
Yeah.
Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yes.
start loading up. We've started working on a couple short things, so we're gonna start
Yep.
loading up some short
Mhm.
videos that we're doing. You guys are gonna like it. I won't give you any more than that, but
All right.
it's pretty awesome.
Don't give us.
We're sitting around some more of the stuff that's in my brain. I want to do a ton of stuff, but
Yeah.
just like you guys talked about your daily affirmations,
Mhm.
I did for like 2-3 months. I did the proverb of the day, and I
Yeah.
would pick
Oh,
one
yeah.
proverb according to the date,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and I would send it out. And what happened was I just got to the point where I couldn't keep up with it consistently.
Mhm.
And so I dropped it, and I would love to get back to that, but I got to have somebody like Benny, an assistant like Dawn,
Yeah.
that says, "Hey, what's your proverb of the day today?" And I go, "Oh yeah," but I can also can those.
Right.
I could do like 10 in one day
Yeah.
that are no less meaningful. They're meaningful,
Right.
Yeah.
but I can say, okay, those are all ready to go, so schedule those to be uploaded.
Kind of like what we do with our Survivor Girl posts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh
You
yeah.
schedule them and get
Yeah.
them
Once we
posted out.
found that out.
Once we found
oh,
that out, oh my
so
gosh,
much
that was so
better.
much.
Isn't that
was a
liberating?
time.
Yeah.
Yes, because
for
now
sure.
we can take and make all of the graphics and then
Mhm.
sit down.
Yeah,
Well, the last time I was down at the man cave,
yeah.
I
were
was
cranking
working.
it out. You were
I
on
did it for
laptop
an
and-
hour, and
I tried
was
telling
done.
her, I'm like, just relax and have fun. And then she's like, no, seriously, what can I do? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this, and this.
Yeah.
Which before I would have been like, nothing.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like,
And she's
this
like-
and this and this
Well,
and
and
this.
it was funny. She's like, you can post the graphics I created, and I'm like, but there's nothing in the graphic.
Yeah, I saved them to my
designer."
computer.
And she's like, hold on a second. So she sends them all to me, and I'm like, okay, I can get these done.
Yeah.
And the last one is gonna drop tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah.
So, so that's cool. It's
Yeah.
it's really cool that we have that. But before we end,
Yes,
we do have
Hats.
to talk about the hat.
Talk
we
about
do.
the hats.
Yes.
This is my newest hat. I
Yes.
love it. I don't want to take it off. Probably
It
gonna
is
wear it to bed
fabulous.
tonight.
Probably.
Nothing
Um,
wrong with that.
No.
I wear a skull cap most of the time when I go to bed. I wake
I
up
was
and it's
gonna say-
somewhere in the bed, but it
Yeah.
went.
I still
on-
have
was
hair
on when I went
underneath
to bed.
it. But
Yes. And my hair just looked like crap.
you took one of
So
my other hats.
I stole
So-
her other hat. This you can get on Ducky's Doodads.
Yeah, the
Um,
purple one that you got on right now.
Yes, for $15. You can choose the color, and I will whip that up and send that out to you.
Awesome hat.
I was gonna
So
say
that means they're handmade. They're custom
yes,
made
they
by
are
the Becky.
custom made by
The
by
Becky.
the Becky.
You've been
Yeah.
personified.
Yes, yes.
The
And
Becky.
the hat that Heather is wearing is the newest creation. And
I love
you're
the weave and
gonna-
the pattern on
You're
that.
you're
That's
you're gonna
awesome.
be hearing more about that specific hat.
Yeah.
There's something behind it.
There's something
But we're not
behind
telling
it.
you yet, but just be
Yep.
prepared and keep
Yep.
on watching Survivor Girl.
Yes,
And
because
check out-
all will be revealed soon,
Awesome.
Very
Yes.
soon. So
and that
Great.
one will also be available eventually on Ducky's Doodads.
Right.
eventually,
So-
Yes.
possibly.
Awesome on the hat. So, did you want to elaborate at all before you end up on my participation? I need to hear at least a couple more details because you
Yeah.
guys.
Um,
I don't know that you
elaborate
guys
on
on my participation in the
the
podcast.
Well, you see, a
'cause
couple of trips down to the man cave ago.
Mhm.
yes, we
you,
tried.
You had said something about wanting to be
coming on the show
coming on the show
with your perspective.
with your perspective.
Well, I said if you guys would like, I would
Yeah.
love to join you on a
So-
regular
Well, we
basis.
decided we
Talk
talked it
amongst
out,
yourselves.
Okay.
and unfortunately, that one time we weren't able to do it because of technical difficulties.
We have worked out some severe bugs. You should have seen the
Yes.
bugs that I stomped and worked out
Yeah.
in the man cave because I've now upgraded the internet and done a bunch of stuff. We
Yes.
Lord willing, we will not have those we will definitely not
Yes.
have those issues because
But
we
we
found out
cruised.
what happened.
We
Yeah.
cruised through
that
it
night,
though.
but,
Yeah.
yeah.
We made it. I did a
Yeah.
live outside and
Yep.
Yeah.
just let everybody know,
And
just
then-
things happen.
And then
Absolutely.
Heather decided that yes, we definitely needed the Jeremy's perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I would
So-
be honored.
So
So we just decided, I guess, when we were telling you on the show.
yeah, that's what
See,
we
that's what
decided
I wanted to
to
know.
tell
I'm
you on
like,
the
okay,
show. Yeah.
because
So
you're
thank
like,
you.
you're going to be, and I'm like, well, we talked about it, but I guess the decision.
you
ladies,
were on
it's-
board, so it was our
Abso-
final decision.
You're,
Absolutely.
one of the first people to say, you and Tony were the two first to say that you're Survivor girls too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we've talked about this, and the show is not just about Survivor girls.
Exactly.
Pretty much, Survivor girls are you and I.
Yes.
Exactly.
Survivor girls are me and Becky.
Yes.
Right.
And then we have different people that come on.
And we
Not
re-
saying that you can't be a
yes.
Survivor girl. You're more
No.
than welcome to be.
I was going
I
to say.
think I'll be a Survivor girl male counterpart.
There we go.
and Heather and I commonly refer
Yeah.
to those people who come on as our thriving
Survivors.
survivors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Which there's going to be more about the thriving survivors.
we have a
coming
lot
up
more.
Too.
We have a lot more that is coming up.
Yes.
We have Dawn helping us work
Yes.
through the details on that so that we can get up and running. I've
Uh-huh.
got the busy season at Bronner's, so getting through that, cruising through that after January, then you guys will be hearing
Yes.
more about what we've got
Yes.
going on.
Awesome.
So, like I said, just stay tuned. Some of the other stuff will come quicker than January, but with the
Yes.
holidays and stuff going on,
It gets a little
just
tight.
gotta get through it.
Yeah.
And
So
I think we realized from last week's show that the male perspective on this show
Mhm.
is very important.
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
Well, it's
So if-
well rounded.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't get a chance to see last week's show,
yes.
please go back to our YouTube channel,
Yes.
so you don't miss any of those. They are archived.
Right.
You can watch them. Previous shows. We are
Yes.
on what number now?
20.
20. We are on
Yes.
20.
Phenomenal.
We are on 20.
Holy moly.
Ooh.
We're on
Yeah.
20. So you guys can go
Yeah.
back. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
It's been an
Absolutely.
awesome journey.
Yes.
You guys can go back and listen to the very beginning. You can go through. They're only an hour an episode.
Yes.
So
Except for this one.
Some-
Sometimes
this
a
one.
little bit
No.
longer. Well, the Crystal Lefay
usually,
episode
yeah,
is
that
a
was a
little
little
bit
bit
longer.
longer too.
Derek's was a little bit longer because we definitely wanted to hear
Yeah.
what he
You
was.
should see Nate freak out when we go past 2 hours down at the
Mhm.
man cave. He's
Yeah.
like, 2 hours? I'm like, it's all good, Nate. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he gives a
At
shrug.
first,
He's
yeah,
like,
he does.
okay.
He
Yeah.
was doing it before, but he already knew that you're
Like-
here, so
Yeah.
he knew.
He knew. Yeah.
So
He
so
knew. He knew. Oh, Jeremy's coming?
we'd
All
like you
right,
guys.
time limits out
Nate,
the door.
Nate did that math already. He's like, Jeremy's going to be here. I'm just not even going to worry about the
Today,
time.
Yeah.
I started a podcast this morning that I listened to, one of the channels I listen to. And I looked at it and I went, yep. I clicked on it. It was 3 hours and 35 minutes. And I
Yeah.
didn't hesitate. I looked
Oh,
at it, looked
wow.
at the title, and I went, I love these guys.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
clicked on it and I listened while I was cooking breakfast for the kids. And then I finished it up right as I got here and pulled in the driveway. I was like, so I had to, pause it
Yeah.
and
Right.
continue my day. But
It's worth it.
I'm the type of person I
Yeah.
like. Some people are like, oh, everybody's got short attention spans. I'm like,
Not
yeah, if
everybody.
your subjects suck and you're not engaging with
Mhm.
people, but when you actually
Absolutely.
have something that they're encouraged about and they're not a, little
Yeah.
fruit fly brain mentality, then
Yeah.
So we've taken from this episode that fear is okay.
Yes.
if you use it properly,
you use it
fear can
properly.
be a powerful ally because it lets you know there's a bear in the woods and you should run.
You should.
Yes.
Or take the proper defensive posture because sometimes you don't run because
You
then you're attracting attention. Sometimes you
True.
just stand still.
Very true. Also, to listen to the lessons and the signs that you're getting
Yes.
and learn from them.
Absolutely. Pay attention to
Yeah.
your inner voice.
There's a reason.
Especially
Yeah.
when you can start to recognize that's not my thought. That's a
Right.
thought that's coming in.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's a good thought. All right. And you go, all right, Lord, you're speaking something to me.
Mhm.
I would say 99% of the time when you listen and then you follow through
Mhm.
on that positive voice coming through, you'll see positive results.
For sure. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Things are changing and up and going, and
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
going to move into the new
Yeah.
year. But listen and be thankful for what you have and your blessings.
And another lesson is be the change you want to see in the world.
I
Absolutely.
like that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. We are looking forward to future episodes with you.
Yes.
Glad you're on board. And
Yeah.
also, guys, don't forget to check out his channel, his YouTube shows.
Yes.
This is my brain.
This is my brain.
I did
Yes.
it.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
And
did.
go back and subscribe.
Yep.
Subscribe to
Subscribe.
Jeremy.
Subscribe. Yep. We're
Subscribe.
working on some of the other sites
Yep.
and getting that all
Mhm.
streamlined together. But
Yep.
I'm tech savvy at that stuff, but I'm not proactive. Meaning I can set it up, and then I
Right.
need somebody to just take
You
it
need a
over and do it.
finisher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
We've
I
talked
just,
about
yeah,
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we-
yes, we
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So
He's the starter.
yeah.
He needs the
and-
finisher.
can I encourage everybody out there that's been listening or will listen, leave some good feedback and let us
Yes.
let the girls here know
Please.
how everything's. And I'm pretty sure your listeners do that already.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
But just let them know how much you enjoyed me being here. As you see that I'm
Yes.
going to start to be a regular, reoccurring person on here.
Recurring.
And then if you go to mine, please leave me some
Yes.
feedback. Don't make this weird. Leave all of our stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leave
And
that good
was,
feedback and let
that
us know
was-
what you like and what things.
That was HFTC
HFTC TV
TV.
stands for
All right.
Heartland Fellowship Training Center. That was my church that I
Mhm.
operated for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then there was the TV channel. So you'll find a lot of my messages on there.
Which are
Um,
awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm looking to just be exclusive on the This Is My Brain. And I thought making it a sub channel would have worked, but they were like, no, you don't have enough followers to stream and all this other jazz. And I was like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, because
They changed it up.
the YouTube channel has been around for the church channel has been around for a good 10 years. I mean,
Oh,
I've got-
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
got quite a bit on there. So,
All right.
but leave us some feedback. Let us
Yeah,
know.
for
I
sure.
mean, don't get into the negative stuff. We don't
Right.
care about that. But
I
I
don't
mean,
want that.
what you do like, we want to hear because that
Yes.
encourages us and lets us know. And plus, if somebody's really encouraged about us fear or something like,
Mhm.
learning about this or learning about that, and you need to hear more, then we can set that up for the next show
Yes.
and talk about it in more detail the next show and really flesh that thing out, really get some more information out there. 'Cause that's important.
Also let us know on our Survivor Girl Facebook page.
Yes.
Let us know what episodes or what you guys want us to talk about.
Yeah.
We're survivors and we have survivors that join us on the show,
Yeah.
but there's also awareness out there that
Yes.
we really would like to be able to bring other people in to talk about it and let people know that if you're dealing with it, you're not doing it on your own.
Exactly.
So let us know what you want to
We
hear.
all have
Yes.
stories,
Mhm.
but there's
Yes.
only so much that we creatively come up with on our own. At a certain point, you go,
Uh-huh.
all right, I've shared what I thought was important.
Mhm.
Now, what do you see as important? Give me some
Yes.
feedback on that.
Yes.
And then, because a lot of times when people go, oh, talk about this, and I go, oh, it gets me even more excited because now somebody wants to pull that information
Yeah.
specifically
Yes.
out of me, and I go, awesome. Now, it's like when they come down and I go, I'm going to make beef tips and noodles, they go, oh, yeah. They get excited about the meal.
right. Right.
Or when
Yes.
Tony walks in and goes, are you making steak tonight? What's on the menu?
What's on
Yeah.
the menu?
And I go,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll make some steak.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
So,
So-
with that,
Be sure to hit the subscription bell on our
Yes.
YouTube page. If
Yeah.
you like the episode, be sure to share it with somebody who could maybe need that
Benefit
message
from
and
it.
benefit from it.
yeah.
And as always, be better, not bitter.
And don't forget, guys, life is best lived. We'll see you next time.
Bye.